Hello, my name is Julie and welcome to this WiseJ.net tutorial. Here we are going to learn how to install WiseJ.net. WiseJ.net is an extension for Visual Studio. Therefore, you must start out by installing Visual Studio. You can install Visual Studio at visualstudio.microsoft.com. So we see here we can download Visual Studio. And that's downloaded right here, download in progress. Visual Studio setup has been downloaded. I can click on that to install it. And here we go. So we need to check a couple of boxes as we install this. We want ASP.NET and Web Development. We want .NET Desktop Development. And we want Visual Studio Extension Development. And then I'm going to click Install. And it started installing. Let's go ahead and speed this up. Alright, so it's done installing and now it's going to launch. I'm just going to hit skip and add accounts later. We'll go with the light theme and start Visual Studio. And here we are. We successfully installed Visual Studio. So one thing I want to note is that if you already have Visual Studio installed, you can still run the Visual Studio installer to get those three things that we checked there. So if you want to do that, you can just search in the menu bar here for Visual Studio. You'll see we have the Visual Studio installer, so I can double click on that. Here we go. You can click Modify. And then you can check those three things, the ASP.NET and Web Development, .NET Desktop Development, and Visual Studio Extension Development. So you could check those and then install. Alright, so now that we've got Visual Studio installed, we need to install WiseJ, and there are two ways to do that. So you can go to wisej.com/builds. And here you can see we have the installer for 4.0 and we have the installer for 3.5. So I'll just click there to download that. There we go. We've downloaded the VSIX file. And for 3.5, we'll click there to download that. There we go. So once you've downloaded it, you'll need to run it. So I'm going to click here, go to my downloads. I'm going to double click on this. This is WiseJ.NET 3. And install. And there we go. And then if I wanted to install WiseJ.NET 4, I could click on this and run the installer, but I'm going to show you a second way to install it. So the other way to install them is if you open up Visual Studio, click on Continue Without Code, click on Extensions and then Manage Extensions. Under Browse, we're going to search for WiseJ. And you can see here we have WiseJ.NET 4 and WiseJ.NET 3. So we've already installed WiseJ.NET 3. You can even see it says installed there. So for WiseJ.NET 4, I'm going to click Install. And again, we could have used the VSIX that we installed. I'm just showing you a second way to install it. It says the modifications will begin when Microsoft Visual Studio is closed. So let's go ahead and close that. And it's installing now. Click Modify. And click Close. Okay, so WiseJ.NET is now installed. The next thing we need to do is get a license key. You can go to wisej.com/developer licenses. And here you can see you can get a trial or community license for free, or you can buy a professional or enterprise license. So if I go to community and click on Get It Now, you can see it takes me to the checkout. I can enter my email address, create an account, all that, and I can get my community license. Once you have your license, if you go to Support, Account, you can view your license there once you log in. Okay, so we've got our license key. Let's go ahead and go into Visual Studio and enter our license key. So I'm going to open up Visual Studio. We're going to click on Create a New Project. We'll select C#, not that it really matters. And we'll go ahead and choose WiseJ.NET 4. We'll go ahead and choose the WiseJ.NET 4 web page application. Not that it really matters which template you use here. We'll just leave everything as default and click Create. Leave everything as default and click OK. So notice this little icon here next to page1.cs. We need it to be this little square icon with the purple in order for it to open the designer. If you see a little C# symbol, you may have to wait a little bit. But once you see this square icon, we can go ahead and double click on it to open the designer. It's opened the designer, and you can see here we have our place to enter the license key right here. So you can enter your license key and hit activate. And once you do that, WiseJ will be activated and you'll be ready to go. And that's the initial setup for WiseJ.NET. So you've got Visual Studio downloaded and you've got WiseJ.NET installed.